Hello. Let me start with a short introduction of myself. My name is Alexander Martens. I'm based in Germany. I'm living close to Frankfurt, and I'm leading the sales engineering team for Solis in Germany. And I joined Solis 4 years ago. And while working with customers across different industries like manufacturing, retail, automotive, and financial services mainly, I've observed that one key challenge is how to implement governance and compliance in event-driven systems. And it's not a new, but still a very important topic, especially for larger companies and organizations, especially also in Europe. And the effect of data protection breaches or incompliance in general can have a huge impact on business continuity. And that's why, from my point of view, it's worth to talk about this challenge in the next roughly 25 minutes. And one concrete possibility how to approach it in practice is also something I would like to show today. And yeah, at the end, I have also prepared this short solution demo. So yeah, imagine a distributed environment where you connect your on-premise infrastructure and edge components like plants, pipelines, or stores with your multi-cloud infrastructure. And in different clouds, you are running different applications or microservices, and all sites need to exchange data or events in a fine granular way, and often also separated in streams, in different streams. And also, different middleware tiers are most of the time involved, running in completely different locations and also regions. And scalability comes with increasing complexity in general. And even if you have an event mesh in place that makes data distribution much more efficient, governance and compliance is still key. And why? There are many reasons, but not least, GDPR makes high demands. You need to be able to answer a lot of different questions. For example, what kind of data is flowing around? For example, also PII data needs to be handled in a different way. Where does the individual data reside? Also, what is the data lineage? It's a very important question that you need to answer. Also, how is data used and processed, by which services, by which systems? And how long is an individual data set retained? So it's all about the retention policy as well. And also the data owner is also important to know. So who's responsible for specific data assets? And the reason is that GDPR provides different rights for individuals. For example, the right to request and receive all information about your customers, or the right to be forgotten. And in terms of data protection, those rights make a lot of sense, but it comes along with high risk and cost for our customers. And it's a large effort to implement supporting processes, and technically it's not easy to solve as well. And breaches lead to image loss, and entire business continuation is often affected also. And the technical challenge behind this business problem is that event-driven architecture can be a black box, and the publisher does not know who is consuming the data and what happens to the data on its way from source to target. In general, we are talking about a hybrid cloud infrastructure very often that is involved for data transport. Imagine cars that are driving on a highway with many exits, and every car is starting somewhere, and it will take one specific exit that just led to another highway. And how can you track the individual routes of all the cars? Distributed tracing is one possibility to achieve this, as it puts a light on the underlying infrastructure so that you can see when and where every event is published, enqueued, delivered, acknowledged, rejected, or moved to a dead message queue across all the brokers in your event mesh. And all those tracing events are tracked and correlated to form a full path end-to-end from the publisher down to the consumer based on one unique trace ID. And this approach allows for enterprise observability of every single data item or event that is flowing around. There are more challenges in this context that I want to highlight. So it's not only the data lineage, the compliance or governance challenge. There are also other challenges that go in a similar direction. One is, or the first one is distributed tracing supports your application developers with debugging to shorten development time with faster root cause analysis in complex microservice environments. Second, regarding troubleshooting, reduce your mean times with end-to-end observability to pinpoint the problem faster and eliminate finger pointing. And third, enrich your end-to-end application performance monitoring with traces in addition to metrics and logs in order to detect and resolve bottlenecks faster to lower costs and improve user experience. I mean, Gartner says that by 2025, 70% of new cloud native applications will adopt open telemetry for observability. And tracing is just one of 3 pillars, and all those pillars depend on each other. So other pillars are logs and metrics. All those pillars are important to capture in order to get full visibility, also end-to-end, and all those pillars are supported by the Solis platform. So how does distributed tracing works? The underlying industry standard is OpenTelemetry, and publishers, brokers, and consumers are producing trace events that are collected by one or more OpenTelemetry collectors. So you can also scale those OpenTelemetry collectors horizontally. The trick for end-to-end visibility is that OpenTelemetry allows also for context propagation. So it assures that a unique trace ID is used across all the possible spans. So most of the applications, frameworks, technologies, protocols, or programming languages support OpenTelemetry. In many cases, also auto-instrumentation is possible, which makes it very easy to get started. On the other side, many observability tools for application performance management or infrastructure monitoring support this standard as well. So the ecosystem is complete, and it allows you to easily get started with end-to-end tracing. Yeah, so altogether, this allows for distributed tracing across a hybrid cloud event mesh end-to-end. And in the next minutes, I want to give a short demo about it. And as a side note, Solis is the only event broker right now that provides OpenTelemetry support on the broker level, which is absolutely required to get the end-to-end view. And the end-to-end view is also very important that you can answer all those questions that I've presented earlier. So I've chosen the following high-level demo scenario. Publishers are publishing to an on-premise Solis event broker that forms an event mesh with a second event broker running within a public cloud where multiple consumers are connected. And from a use case perspective, the publishers in this case are instances of an SAP product lifecycle management system, and the consumers are different plants or factories across EMEA, America, and Asia Pacific. And the use case is about distributing master data changes as events from the headquarter down to the production sites that are located worldwide. And in the demo, I'm generating random events. So the SAP system is publishing to my Solis event broker, which is running locally on my laptop. And based on the Solis event mesh, the generated events are automatically transferred to the cloud instance, where I have connected consumers for EMEA, America, and APAC that are simulating those plants. To summarize, I have set up a continuous event flow across a hybrid event mesh, and I have built in one error, and I will show you now the result and benefit of distributed tracing. So let's jump in the live demo. Let me start with the live demo now. So what you should see now is my screen, my browser, and let me go to my on-premise environment first. So in this environment, what you see is that I have some incoming traffic. So this traffic is basically the traffic that I get from the SAP system. So the SAP system is constantly publishing master data update events to this local broker, which you see here. And on this broker, I have just one internal queue defined, which is called telemetry trace. And this queue, you see that here are a couple of queued messages that are changing over time. And those events that are going to this telemetry trace queue are exactly those trace events that are generated because of the fact that I'm publishing events messages to this on-premise broker here. And as I said, I've formed this event mesh with a second cloud instance of Solus, which I want to go next. So this is the cloud service that I'm using in Solus PubSub plus Cloud. And if I'm going to the same management interface, here you see that I'm now on the cloud infrastructure. You can also see that you have some constant traffic because all the events, all the master data change events are moved forward to the cloud infrastructure because all the consumers, the different plants, are connected to this cloud instance. And for those different locations, I have created different queues that you can see here. So here we also have this telemetry trace queue that gets all the events, all the trace events. So for example, I'm transferring those messages from on-prem to cloud. So this is also an event and trace event that is generated. Also the consumer is getting and acknowledging those messages. Also this is a trace event that is generated. That's why also we will have traffic here for this telemetry trace queue in the cloud infrastructure. But more important are those queues here because those queues are used to connect the different locations, right? For America, Asia Pacific, and EMEA. Yeah, and I have and I have consumers bound to those different queues. Just to have a continuous event flow that I'm using now to explain what is the result for distributed tracing. And I've decided to use Jaeger as an observability tool. As I said, you can use all the other tools like Dynatrace, New Relic, Grafana Labs, whatever you want, because all those tools are supporting OpenTelemetry as a standard. I'm using now Jaeger UI, and let me just refresh this page here again. And I'm just going to the data of the last 5 minutes. And now you see that I have here 20 traces. And now let's look at an end-to-end trace that I have promised, right? And this is exactly what you can see here. So here you really see now an end-to-end trace starting at the SAP PLM system, as I said. It's going to my Docker on-premise instance that I have presented. Then we have this event mesh in place, which is forwarding the data to the cloud service, which you can see here. And finally, we have here an EMEA plant that is a consumer. Yeah, so here you really see now an end-to-end trace across the entire hybrid event mesh of Solus from the PLM system down to the EMEA plant, just as one example. And this is a concrete event, yeah, master data change event that we are tracing here end-to-end. It's a very specific event. And now we can also get into the details of this trace. So for example, if you want to know, okay, what happened on the on-premise instance of the broker, you can just go to the logs and you can just see, okay, there was a queue event, it was enqueued, and you can directly see what was the latency and where was it enqueued and what's the messaging ID, what was the topic it was sent to, and you can get a lot of additional information about this event. A lot of additional header information that you can find here. So you can also see here a couple of user properties that I've defined. So for example, you can directly see, okay, what was the material number of this master data change event? What's the material type? What was the plant ID? What's the region? It's an EMEA. It was for the EMEA region. Yeah, because as you see, the EMEA plant was subscribed to it, and it's a create event. Yeah, so the trigger was in create event, create master data event. So this is so what you can now do. For example, if you have if you need to trace, for example, down to a specific material number, you can just query for it. You can just say, okay, I would like to know where was the master data create event for this material number, what happened to this event? Yeah, what was a pass it was flowing through the system? Was there an error? When was it received where? Who was the publisher exactly? What SAP system, what SAP instance was publishing it? Who was the exact consumer? So this can be now traced end to end. And you can also trace it across the entire event mesh. So you can also see, okay, what happened here on the cloud infrastructure. Yeah. And here you can also see that it was also here included in this plant EMEA queue. You can also get additional information, yeah, about this event on the cloud infrastructure side. Yeah. Some information is the same, but of course, the username, also the receive time and all this is different. And yeah, you can also see, okay, who is the consumer, yeah, and to what topic the consumer subscribed in order to get this event. So this is also all, yeah, inside this trace, and you can review everything, and you can query for specific events and specific traces. And when something goes wrong, you can directly see, okay, where it goes wrong. Yeah, where is a break of a trace. Yeah, so for example, if it's not going to the consumer, you will see, okay, it will end perhaps on the cloud infrastructure side. So you directly know, okay, the consumer was not getting it, and then you can dive deeper and say, okay, most often you will also get directly the error message why it was not received by the consumer, or you at least know, okay, it is still on the cloud infrastructure, and you can check why the consumer was not getting it at a specific point in time. And this is very helpful, yeah, for different purposes, as I said, and most important also for governance and compliance, because with those histories, with this history of traces for every data item, you can directly see, okay, where was it published? Where was it consumed? What was the way to which system it was flowing around? And then you can use it for those reports, or you can use it to make sure that all the information gets deleted in all the corresponding systems where it was stored. Yeah, and this is quite helpful also for governance and compliance. And this is more or less what I wanted to show you today in my short presentation for EDA Summit 2023.